No intro to this video because I ended up splitting two videos because they were too long, so I separated the spray repair into that one, and then this one I'm actually trying the sprayer out to make sure it works, and I'm going to jump on the finish mower and then onto the bush hog. So if you like the videos with mowing grass, this is the place for you. So let's take a break from the music here, and I'll talk about some efficiencies. The tree you're going to see me come up to with the finish mower in just a second is a walnut tree. Everything above the driveway here I use the finish mower on. It doesn't grow grass very well, so I'm able to use a finish mower. As long as I don't get over 8, 10, maybe 12 inches, I can use a finish mower. So let me ask a question here. How do you do this? I go past the tree, I back up to it so I can go right up against it as close as possible, and then pull forward. So that way I can get all of this side of the tree and everything below the tree in this case. So now I move on forward to the end of my row, and I'll come back to it again. So all of this upper area here, like I said, not very good soil. It was an old garden, so I mow it this direction to go with the rows, what used to be the rows of the garden, and it's not quite as bumpy. So when I bought this, I decided I'm going to make not a retirement plan, but a long-term care plan out of this and plant all walnut trees. And I did so. So that walnut tree you just saw was one of those walnut trees. It's about 10 years old now. The whole upper side here was all walnut trees, but about 2 years in, they got bagworms and killed almost every single walnut tree I had. They were up 3 feet tall, some of them 4 feet tall, and the bagworms got them and just devastated them. So I'm down to the original one you just saw me mow around, and then the one that I was talking about a second ago that I backed up against. Those are the only 2 walnut trees I've got left. So anyway, the way I planted those walnut trees is by actually just stomping walnuts in the ground during the middle of the winter time. It was wet that year, and I would just take 3 steps, put a walnut down on the ground, or 2. I did 2 per place, and I would just stomp it down the ground. So anyway, I was driving around with those walnuts in the back of my truck, and all that rain, like I said, it was wet. There was this black walnut juice had leaked all down the tailgate of my truck, down on the bumper of my truck, and just looked awful. Looked like dried blood. In fact, I got pulled over by a local sheriff's deputy because he was following me home from the farm one day, and he said, I just had to figure out what that was. I just knew you were carrying around a dead body or something in the back of your truck because it looked like blood running all down your bumper. Anyway, funny story. Never ceases to amaze me what I can find myself getting into. Anyway, enjoy the finish mowing here, and like, subscribe, share with a friend. Thanks for watching.
So this is the tree who died a few weeks ago and blew down in a storm. It died of lead poisoning. If you missed that video, I explained we shot this tree. This area is where all the targets were stapled to it and such. So I had a choice, either cutting it up in pieces down there where it was and dragging the pieces up here, or drag it all up here where I'm about to burn. Then I could just cut the limbs off of it, put the limbs on the pile, cut the big part up, put it on the pile, and we'll burn it all in one place. So drag one tree, a whole tree when you can, if you have the equipment necessary to do it. And rather than dragging a bunch of pieces, we'll drag it one time. So that's what we did here. We're going to take it loose, hook the bush hog, and do a little bush hog.
This area here that I'm bush hogging is across the creek. There's a low-lying area, and it stays wet throughout the winter into the spring, and it's usually after the 4th of July before I can get in here and get the bush hog. And it's still a little too wet. It rained so much last week. It's still a little too wet. I just kind of take my time, and I just didn't do the lower part of it because I was sinking a little bit, and the last thing I want to do is to get stuck. So you'll see me get as close as I can to this creek here without getting in it, preferably. I have done that before and had to go get my neighbor to pull me out. So I try not to do that when I can. But this stuff I'm bush hogging, you can see it's about 6-8 feet tall in places, and not really heavy as far as the thickness or caliber of the trees or branches or anything. Just tall. There's good soil down here, plenty of water, like I said, and it really grows well. So 7-8 feet tall, and just kind of pick my way through it and not get too much every pass, not get a full bush hog every pass. This is a 5-foot Lowry brush cutter, and it really does well. I probably put it through abuse that I shouldn't put it through, but it really does a good job. Keep the blades fairly sharp and try not to overdo it when I can. It is a little bit, I guess, a little bit too large for this tractor, but I just try to, again, not overdo it, not take too much at a time, and take it slow and not hurt the tractor or the brush cutter here. So everything below the driveway, you can see up the hill there to where the driveway is, I've bush hogged because it's thicker, it gets deeper, and I just can't finish mow it. I like to finish mow the top of the hill because the outcome looks so much better. Finish mower obviously is much better finished look to it, but the brush cutter here in the bottom just is a necessity, obviously. Everything below the road really has to be used with the brush cutter or bush hog. So anyway, enjoy this. The last part you're going to see as I'm coming out of the woods is where we do a little paintball with the kids. So I just take the brush cutter in there and back through the woods and cut that up, and I'll sometimes come through and spray that or round up too. So just trying to keep that from getting overgrown as we go. again, this is the area where we set up the paintball course. So you see the pipe and the old spools, and you'll see some little forts around there, a couple of pallets that were propped up or fallen over and such. Just want to let you know that's stuff the kids put in there for cover. It's not that I just go and pile stuff in the woods and leave it. Although sometimes I feel like that's what we do. But anyway, no, that's not it at all. This is our little paintball course. Again, thanks for watching. Click like, subscribe, and share with a friend.